Breaking fucking news. Shit has hit the fan, ladies and gentlemen. It has all but hit the fan in this recent chapter of Kimetsu no Yaiba, chapter 183. Well, if you remember from the previous chapter, chapter 182, Yushiro has all but taken over the castle that they're in, Muzan's castle, and is trying to raise it into the sunlight in order to kill him, because it's been stated and it's to believe that there's no way that you can take his head. The only way to kill him is with sunlight, which is simple enough if they weren't stories and stories below the ground, which was done on purpose by Muzan. Now, with this chapter open up, we're looking at Kanroji, and she's just a mess. She's just a mess. Her emotions are all over the place, and we get the breakdown of what it was and how this plan was devised. Okay, so Yushiro breaks it down and was basically like, I need you to run around and act like a decoy and distract Biwa while I handle her and hijack her mind, take over her mind and her eyesight and vision, and basically the link between her and Muzan, and make Muzan believe that the Demon Slayer corps are all dying, they're all falling, and that they've been killed or in the process of being killed, and Muzan will never be the wiser to the situation that is going to happen. And after Yushiro does all that, he wants all the other Demon Slayer corps, all the other Hashiras, to go and to basically tag team Muzan and take him down while he attempts to raise the castle above ground level into the daylight. The problem that Yushiro is running into, and really what is the main problem of this chapter, is that because Muzan has a biological link to Biwa, he can take over Biwa at any point in time. The problem came in is that Muzan did not know Biwa's mind was hijacked. So because he didn't, there was no need for him to intervene and take over her body, because Biwa was always a part of Muzan and with him from the very beginning. Now that he knows Muzan is trying desperately to kick Yushiro out of Biwa's mind and basically stop the castle from rising above the ground level into the daylight. Now, Muzan is giving the mass majority of his focus into disrupting Yushiro and trying to take over Yushiro's body, right? He can do that. If you read the chapter, Yushiro has his hand inside of Biwa's head, which is, sunk into her brain, and obviously this is him attempting to take over her body and be able to, rise the castle. So the castle is in a constant shift and a constant flux, which is making it very hard for the Demon Slayer corps and the other Hashira to attack Muzan, because it's rising and falling and rising and falling. And because of this, if the Hashiras and the other Demon Slayer corps don't get a footing and a handle on how to move and operate, then it's going to be game over once Muzan. If you think Yushiro is going to be able to keep Muzan out, you're sadly mistaken. Yushiro needs them to help distract and disrupt Muzan in his attempts to kick out Yushiro. Something funny happened in this chapter on page 8 and 9, where Yushiro recognizes that Muzan's trying to absorb his cells, right? And so you have a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, and he was like, if it'll help you defeat Muzan, then eat me. And Yushiro's just like, shut up and stay back. And the man's like, sorry, my bad, I didn't know, I'm just trying to help, I want this to all end. And then the next panel, you'll see that the Demon Slayer Corps is finally making their move on Muzan, and Muzan is just warding off their attacks. He's really not trying to kill them up until this point, but he's warding them off because his main focus is Yushiro. Like, that's what his main focus is. Up until this point, Muzan has been very cocky, and he knows that the only way that they could kill him is with sunlight. Well, he was very safe with the assumption that there's no way that they could bring sunlight so far underground, and now that there's a way for them to bring him to above ground to daylight, he is very much so sweating. Considers him pest. You see the effects of him absorbing his Yushiro's cells are being released from his body, and Muzan, he gets extremely desperate, so desperate in fact that he's no longer focused on Yushiro, he's focused on Biwa, and he begins to kill Biwa, right? Because Biwa drank his blood and has his Muzan cells inside of her body, there is a link to, in which case he just squeezes his hand and you see her head start to just implode. It's some crazy ass shit. Now the pressure's on Yushiro in order to raise the castle fast, right? That's what he has to do. So he floors it, and you see people's bodies hitting the ground because he is rising the castle at a very, very, very fast rate. You see Tanjiro sees the bodies of all the fallen corpse members, and he's like, they must have died with regret, and that's what he's focusing on right now. Son, you need to focus on how you're going to see, okay? Because you are still missing an eyeball, all right? Worry about your own depth perception before you end up like one of the bodies that are on the ground. Between pages 16 and 17, you see while Tanjiro is focused on all the slain corpse members that Muzan is whipping his arms around because they're fucking blades at this point, and slashes Tanjiro across the back. Like, Tanjiro, you need to focus, my guy. Like, this is not what you want. They take notice that all the floorboards are creaking in the castle because the castle's starting to break apart. They're moving the castle too fast, and because of the fact that they're moving it so fast, it's starting to break apart, but they're also rising. So if the castle breaks apart, they're all gonna fall, and the only person who is going to survive is Muzan in this case. At the same time, Muzan begins attack. He goes after Kanroji. Okay, now let's take a step back, because when Tanjiro was looking at all the fallen corpse members, there's swords everywhere. Okay, so now that Muzan's going after Kanroji, Tanjiro jumps into action. He picks up one of the swords and he throws it. Okay, he throws it, and it pierces Muzan through his head. How he did this with no depth perception, I don't know, but we're not gonna worry about that, because the most important part is the last page. Okay, the castle bursts through the ground. Yushiro did it. The corpse members and Hashira and Tanjiro, they did it. They distracted Muzan long enough for the castle to get above ground. In the last page, you see it bursting through the ground, and we're home free. Okay, now the castle, look, from the looks of it, okay, that's the chapter. From the looks of it, it looks as though everything is good to go, because the castle has busted apart. You see Tanjiro fly, you see some other corpse members fly, they're all flying out. You would assume Muzan is out in the daylight. I don't see it being this easy. For some reason, I don't see it being this easy. There's no way it can be this easy. And we all know that the series is wrapping up, but if it's this easy to where, oh, the castle's in the daylight, Muzan's gonna see the sunlight, and it's gonna be the end of it, that's gonna be a shitty ass ending, and I'm not gonna be for it at all. I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of this, but Zenitsu and Inosuke and all those, the other like main core members, they're not there yet. I don't know where they are, but they're not there yet. They rose with the castle, so I'm expecting to see them in the next chapter, but during that whole scuffle in this chapter, they were nowhere to be found. So I'm assuming they're still wandering the hallways. I am just curious as to what is going to happen next in the for the next chapter, which comes out in a couple of days. But I definitely wanted to get this video out ASAP, because it's once Muzan's done, what else is there? You know what I mean? Muzan can't go out like this. He can't go out like a bitch. And I know demons have always been affected by sunlight, but what else is there for him to do? He's in the sunlight. I feel like this is how it's gonna end for him. You know what I mean? But he's the original. He's the OG. Can he really be affected by sunlight? Like, that's some shit that, you've always see patient zeros and things of that in like animes or just horror movies, and they're always the ones that aren't affected by what everyone else is affected by. You understand what I'm saying? It was in the old Blade movies. The original vampire, I believe the original vampires weren't affected by sunlight. I could be wrong about that, or maybe it was Underworld where that was the case. Or you see like vampires, and or you see like werewolves, and the original werewolves are able to transform whenever they want to. They're not affected by the full moon. But all the half-breed werewolves, they're the ones who can only change with the full moon. They're the ones that are mindless, like zombies when they transform, and just bloodthirsty. But I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a twist to Muzan in the daylight. But we're going to see with the next chapter. But that is all I have for y'all today. If y'all enjoyed the video and you made it to the end, go plus ultra and smash that subscribe button. It lets me know that you're rocking with the content that I put out here on the channel. Like the video, share the video, rate the video, and like always, keep it safe and wrap it tight. I'm out.